since it's just us.
All right, I'm excited for this opportunity to come today because, well, I'm surprised I'm here, honestly.
Sorry.
Because this morning I was in Beaver at another conference, and they had this 5:45 a.m. sunrise walk, and I never wake up that early. That's the middle of the night for me. I'm a night owl, but I still got up and I went on this walk, and then I slept through several presentations today at my conference, but it was still good.
Oh, good.
So I'm glad I'm here. I actually had about an hour nap in between. I got home from Beaver about 4 o'clock. Took about an hour nap and then drove here. So I'm feeling pretty refreshed.
We're grateful you're here.
Yes. All right. So today I am presenting on LinkedIn. So just a little background about me. My name is Trenton Wilson, and I am. So I'll tell you about my 2 ventures. My full-time job, I work for Utah State University with the Remote Online Initiative, and I teach people how to work from home. So that's my full-time job. Tonight I'm here more on my entrepreneurial side of things. I'm a serial entrepreneur. I love entrepreneurship. I love doing all sorts of different things, and so I've recently launched my website, working on getting my business all the way launched and going. It's called Nobility IQ. Basically, the idea is that everybody has a genius, and my job is to help you find that genius and bring it out and become that person. So figuring out what it is that resonates most with you in your life and different things like that.
So it's like life coaching kind of thing?
Yeah, I'm a career business life coach. My target market is people going through a midlife crisis. If I found somebody who was who is employed right now, but they're like, I need to get out of this industry, I need to get out of this job, whatever. I don't like it, I can't stand it, or whatever. That's my ideal client. Somebody that wants to make that change. Whether it's jumping from a regular job to entrepreneurship, whether it's jumping from a job to another job, whatever that is. I specialize in ideation, so the very beginning of a business. So I know how to do that a lot, and so there's a lot of different things. I am contracted with the Small Business Development Center, at least in Ephraim. I'm not sure, not in Ridgefield. I'm not sure if that carries over to the Snow College campus here. To help people write business plans. Background on LinkedIn, I started using that. I moved I was in California working for Marriott in 2008, 2009, when we decided we needed to move back to Utah. My oldest child had not spoken a word in school all the way up until 3rd grade. And their grandma taught 3rd grade in Mapleton, and we're like, we're gonna move back and put her in 3rd grade in our grandma's class. So we did that right at the beginning of the Great Recession, and I learned how to find jobs really well. And so I started teaching people how to find jobs, eventually got a job with DWS. While I was at DWS, or before I was at DWS, I taught the management up in the Provo area how to use LinkedIn for job search, because they didn't know anything about it. Mm-hmm. Eventually I got a job there because I was coaching them and helping out, and people, when you add value to a company, they're usually going to say, hey, you need to apply for a job here. So I did. I got a job, and one of the first things was I started a LinkedIn workshop. We sent that up to the state, got it approved. It became the state LinkedIn workshop for the Department of Workforce Services. So I created that. It's changed a lot since then. So whatever they teach now, I take no credit for that, but I at least got it started within the state of Utah. So That's my background as far as LinkedIn goes, and why I enjoy presenting it. So I'm gonna go through, first of all, your profile, what you wanna look at on your profile, and how you will create connections with people using your profile, how you want to make sure that that works with search engine optimization and different things like that. So the first thing on your profile that people are gonna see is your picture. Do you have a picture? If you don't have a picture on LinkedIn, you gotta get one.
Is a logo okay, or does it need to be like a picture?
I would say if it's your company page or group or something like that that's associated with your company, I would say that's fine, but ideally they want to see a person.
Okay.
So if it's your personal LinkedIn profile, definitely have a person. And make sure that it's a quality picture. Most phones nowadays have really good cameras, but don't do selfie. People can almost always tell when it's a selfie unless you have a good selfie stick or something like that.
Do you want to pull up one of ours and critique it?
Sure. Yeah, I just sent you a connection request, so. Okay. So, I'm sure people that might be watching this know Ben. They probably know what he's all about. So
I like
let's
your main
pull up this
line.
picture just
I
a
help
little
men
better
wise
here.
up.
Okay, so Ben
Awesome.
teaches people how to tie ties on a YouTube channel. What do you guys think of that picture?
I think it's awesome.
Yep.
That's welcoming, happy. Seems like someone I would take advice from.
Teaches you how
Yeah.
to dress. He looks sharp. He's got the tie all nice and fancy there. I honestly, for what you do, I think this is perfect. Now, if I were just a regular accountant, I probably would say, don't do this. Don't do the, different things like that. But to me, what it does is it's showing that you are a sharp dressed man. The ZZ Top song, you've got that sharp look, you're trying to look like you've got that professional demeanor and that look. And so I'm okay with the thumbs up.
Am I too far back? Should my head be bigger?
So yeah, a good critique would be maybe a little closer. The pink stuff in the background might be a little distracting.
That's true.
So maybe just a more neutral background, because your eyes do look in the background instead of right at you first, because it's a pink, colorful thing. But just you're trying to show off that you know how to dress. And so honestly, the full torso isn't a bad thing in that case as well, just because you got to see the whole suit. But
You could probably just do some background remover on
Yeah.
photo edit.
something like that.
Well, now that you say that, I'm regretting the smartwatch. That's like a faux pas in the style community.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, you shouldn't wear a smartwatch with a suit.
Oh.
As you can see, I probably am outside of that realm. I used to wear watches all the time, but then, I don't know, they just started bugging me. And then with the phone, I just found that easy.
Yeah.
So again, obviously have a picture. So the background picture, again, it fits with your brand, it fits with the style, it's fancy. However, it's super busy and it's kind of hard to see. So, I don't know.
It's easier to see on here.
Yeah.
So it might be the projector.
On a projector screen, it's definitely harder to see.
Yeah, and I don't know. So again, I don't know that I would tell you to change that because it's different. It is different. stand out, and it makes you look fancy again. You know, it's a fancy picture. If you can brighten it up a little bit, because I know on my computer it's, you know, you can see it better on the computer than on a projector screen, but it is pretty busy. If there's a way to simplify it, maybe do something similar but less busy, that would be a recommendation that I would give. But you've got palm trees in the, is that palm trees?
Yeah.
It looks like palm trees in the back. You've got a nice car. You know, your brand is fancy style, stuff like that. Help people feel confident, and I think that portrays that really well. Those are just my minor thoughts when I look at it from the first thing.
Okay.
All right, so the next thing is your tagline. So this is also something that people see. When people search LinkedIn, they see your picture, they see the background is, they usually don't see that until they click on your profile. But they will see the picture, your name, the tagline, and your location.
The tagline was like the second thing I noticed.
Okay. So, and you got the cool little clover by your name. That helps you stand out just a little bit.
I did that because if people really know you, they won't put the clover in. But if people are just spamming everybody, you can tell the spam from something else, because usually if someone's actually hand typing something to you, they're not going to find the clover
Yeah.
to put it in, maybe if they copy and paste it.
Mm-hmm.
So that was the idea there, is to put a symbol there
Okay.
to weed out spam.
Huh.
Okay. Yeah, that's.
Does it work?
That might
It
be
does.
a
I
trick.
mean, I ignore a lot. If I get messages with the clover in it, I'm like, well, it's probably spam.
Oh, yeah, because they copy and paste
Yeah.
instead of typing. Okay.
Yeah.
That's an interesting tip that I haven't heard. So for those that are listening, hopefully you heard that tip. So if you put a clover or some kind of a symbol before your name, you know.
Or even after.
Yeah, because when I found him on LinkedIn, I just typed Ben Bowie. I didn't type
Clover.
not a clover on the keyboard. So that makes perfect sense. All right, so the tagline. Typically what you want to include in the tagline is like a job title, a company that you work for, and then and then your brand statement. So yours is mostly just a brand statement. You are an entrepreneur, so you kind of are your business, right? Do you have a name for your business?
Yeah, it's called My Nice Tie, but it's down lower.
Okay. So anyway, when I teach, especially job seekers, people that are a little more basic, that don't have like a company brand, I would say definitely put your job title, put your company name. The company name, I would suggest it, and I would leave that up to you, because I think a brand statement essentially says what you do. The reason I would say it might not be a bad idea to put the company name is just brand recognition. The more people see it, the more they relate to it.
Yeah.
So if you have it here, and then you have it down below, and then you have it somewhere in your summary, and you have it somewhere in another place,
Right.
it gives them more opportunity to see that company name, and they're like, you know, especially when they go down and see that it's a YouTube channel, they'll be like, oh, I gotta remember that name. And the more they see it, the more it's gonna stick in their brain.
Good idea.
So that's why I would recommend those things in your tagline, because again, when they search for you, these are from here to here, that's what they see.
Yeah. It's a great idea.
So making sure that you have some kind of a brand recognition effort there
In the tagline?
in the tagline. So, That's for entrepreneurs, for job seekers and stuff like that. If you're unemployed, I wouldn't say unemployed. I would say what kind of professional you are, your job title, your some kind of a branding statement. So mine is, I don't remember it now. If I bring up both LinkedIn's, just, that's what I'm gonna do. Bring up my LinkedIn too, just in case I need to point something out. So purpose-driven career, business, life coach. So purpose, what is your purpose? That's the whole thing that I focus on. So that's my statement. So I've got purpose-driven career, business, life coach, author, and program coordinator at USU. So I've got my employer, got my title. You have, I don't remember how much you have, but it's like 2 lines worth of information that you can put.
Yeah.
Sometimes putting too much is too much, but especially for job seekers, it's important to have something that tells my story in 2 lines.
Do you put the company first or after your headline or your tagline?
For you, I like your tagline.
Would you
I
put
like
the
that,
company
so-
after it then?
Yeah, I would probably say, I would say I help men wise up and suit up and stand up at,
My nice tie.
something like that.
Okay. My tagline actually changed recently. It's, I help, what is it? I teach men the mind, the way, the look, and the way that make it the man. It's still kind of short, but it's a little different.
So if you taught something to job seekers, do you have for ladies as well?
I'm working on something for ladies, not for job seekers yet, but I could.
Okay. Alright. Just curious because of your.
Well, I guess for ladies, my content would be more, here's how to get your husband to dress better for his job interview.
There you go. Okay.
I don't know, they say that the riches are in the niches, so if you just stick with the men's ties and everything, I think that would be fine.
Yeah. We'll talk more later about that. Okay, so again, I think the more specific you are on your profile, so you have Ephraim, Utah, it's not a huge location. Some people make it so that all they see on the profile is Utah or Salt Lake area or something like that. I think, to me, that specificness connects me to you in a way. You know, I see that and I'm like, okay, yeah, that's. Anyway, that's a good way to do that. All right, so for job seekers and for networking, one of the first things to do, and this 500 plus connections here, to me that's important. So if I am connecting with somebody that I don't know, and they have 47 connections, I'm gonna possibly find a different way to connect with them than just sending them even a personalized request. We'll talk about the personalized request in a minute, but if I see that they have 500 plus connections, I don't usually hesitate to send them a connection request.
So like mine has like 10.
Yeah. Now LinkedIn has now recently limited you to 5 per month without paying the premium
Oh,
for
really?
LinkedIn, as far as personal connections. So being able to send somebody a connection request that says, hey, I'm interested in learning more about your company, would you be willing to connect? So you only have 5 of those per month now.
Those are the requests.
Yeah, the personalized requests. You can send more than that, but I think LinkedIn probably realized that people were doing what I always did. And that was to make sure I sent a connection request, personalized, explaining why I wanted to connect with them. That is, to me, that was the nice thing to do, because if I get a connection request from somebody I don't know in India, and they don't say why they want to connect with me, I'm like, I don't know if I want to connect with you, because I will probably get pitch slapped. You guys heard that term? Pitch slapped.
I haven't heard that. That's a good way to put it, though.
Yeah. So you get a connection request from somebody that seems like they're, well, and they probably are a legitimate person. They're doing their job, or they're trying to promote their business or whatever. The moment you accept their connection request, you get a sales pitch. And I ignore most of those, to be honest. They drive me crazy. So for those listening, I'm going to come close to my phone so that we make sure to hear. Don't pitch slap people. Don't connect and immediately try to sell them something. I appreciate when people connect and start, and they might ask me a question. Hey, tell me more about what you do. I'm okay doing that. I'm okay telling them this is what I do for a living. Yes, you can look at my profile and probably figure that out, but don't immediately sell to people. If you want to sell to people, create a connection, create a relationship first. And that probably is going to take more than just one or two messages back and forth. Build those relationships, find ways to do that. So, come down to the About section here. So I'm not going to read the whole thing, but Ben has taken up the space really well. You have this About section, and I think you have up to 2,000 words or characters or something like that. So you can put a lot of information in this About section. How many people do you think read your About section when they look at your profile?
I don't know. Probably not many.
Probably not very many. If they're looking to hire you, so if I were a company that I wanted my people to dress stylishly, and I was looking to hire you to come in and coach my employees, my sales team, I probably would maybe read through that. But for most people, they're not going to read through it. So why would you put so much information and so much effort into your About section?
That's a good question.
Okay, so maybe I will read a few things and then start working on my
I think
nice
it's pretty
time.
good.
He worked on his company as a hobby. Let's see. So he got Thai listed a couple times. Here. So this is probably I would guess a pretty important part of your search engine optimization within your LinkedIn. So you've got Thai listed in here. I would maybe symbol of a necktie, so you got a different word, tradition and success, promote ideas. So I would maybe find a way to include style in there, include professionalism, include terms that if you wanted somebody to find you on LinkedIn, what are they going to be searching for? Stylist, style coach, different things like that. Those are so finding a way to include those search engine optimization words, those keywords within your About section.
Okay.
Don't make it cheesy. And I would say don't have AI write it. What you could do is you could take this, put it into AI, and say, this is what I have for my About section on LinkedIn. I want to include these keywords. Help me incorporate those. You could possibly do that yourself as well, but that might be a good way to use AI to enhance what you already have and make it better search engine optimization.
Yeah.
Okay, so the next one, services, I think this is a section that you can actually, I don't know if it's a default section or not, but you can include keywords here of what you do. So these are just some of the things. Oh, I'm looking at yours, I'm like, videography, I don't have that skill. I don't have that service. But yeah, so these are your services. This is it's good to have those, and I think as long as you're including everything that you do, that's perfect. Activity, let's see, so it looks like, so you've announced that 7 months ago. So I'm noticing that you probably don't post a whole lot on LinkedIn. No. Okay. So on the activity, and I might go into this a little bit later, but make sure that just like any other social media, you're using it regularly and strategically.
So I just started mine, if you want to look at mine.
Okay.
I don't even like what would you post? Like Ben started it to go full time, so I can see like that would be a good post. But so mine is RabTech builds, RAB, like boy, TECH, and then builds is BUILDS.
Is that a company page or is that a personal?
It's a company.
Page? What's that?
A company page.
Did you make a personal page as a company page?
Oh, maybe I did. See, I'm so new to this. Try.
Try your name.
Okay. I wish my phone wasn't dead.
Sarah.
Sarah Lee.
With an H or no?
Yeah, with an H. Actually, probably be under my husband's name, David Lee.
Okay. So, if you don't have your own, maybe that's something I would suggest.
Okay.
Create your own. That's your name, everything that you have, and then from there you want to point people to your company page on LinkedIn.
Okay.
Yeah, and you can do that easily because when you create a company page and you create a personal page, part of your personal page is the companies you work for. And so when you go to create your personal page, it'll have a prompt that says, where have you worked, and you could put RabTech, and it won't find it if you don't have a company page, and then you can add the company page and it will connect you.
Oh, yeah, I think I just turned our personal page into a company page. That's what I did.
Okay.
So, and you can show her on mine, like if you scroll down to my my work history.
Oh, LinkedIn member, that's probably it. I don't have access to this profile. So
Your
it's
profile
probably
maybe.
private. Does that look like yours?
Mm-mm.
No.
Oh wait, yeah.
You may
It's
have
just
to
it
make
looks black.
public too.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay. So yeah, I can't click it. It won't let me click on it.
Looks like you need to make it more public. You have pretty strict public
Restrictions.
Yeah.
So going back to Ben's, we'll talk about activity later. But
How did you find that?
what's that?
How did you find that?
Your name?
Yeah.
I didn't, instead of going to companies, you mentioned that it may have been switched from a personal to an account to a company name.
Okay.
So I searched for a person.
Oh.
So it is under a person, but that's where I found it. So, okay, yeah, so experience, we'll talk, like you said, I'll talk about the activity later. Experience is obviously your work history. When we teach, as a career coach, when I teach resumes, I do not teach, or I teach people to include accomplishments rather than what you did. So a lot of the times on a resume, people will always put their job description. They do the same thing on LinkedIn. But I see here with over 56 million views, that tells me you've got a pretty good YouTube channel. That this is a pretty viable business, that things are going well. I don't know if that's the only accomplishment you got. I haven't read through. But if there are other accomplishments, try to include those in there as well. Because you want to make sure that you're, especially as a job seeker, it's really important to make sure that you're putting in what you've accomplished. As a business, as an entrepreneur, the same thing. Especially if you are out there trying to get contracts with companies or trying to drum up some business of some sort. You want to be able to provide to them what you have done. And you don't have to include your entire financial statements. Especially if it's a little more personal and you're not a public company, you're not required to post those things. But I think it's really important to make sure that you're including things that you've accomplished and how you would contribute to your next client. Now, another thing that we teach on resumes is only go back 10 to 15 years. Got a little gray on my beard. Ben's got some gray on his beard a little bit. You reach that 40-year age, you're within that protected citizen category. As job seekers, that's something to be cautious about. We tell people only 10 to 15 years on a resume. On LinkedIn, I teach differently. I teach include everything. You kind of mentioned it earlier that putting your business on there, a company you worked for 20 years ago, might help you connect with other people. So that creates that, the power of LinkedIn is the networking networking that can be done through LinkedIn. I remember an experience where, so I went to the University of Utah back in the day when internet was fairly new. It was about 10 years old when I was going to, about 10 years old when I was going to the University of Utah. And so it wasn't really that big of a, it wasn't that big. There was no social media at the time that I can think of. I don't think MySpace was around that time, even. So connecting with people wasn't something that you did. I went to class, I had my professors, there were a few students that I connected with and worked with quite a bit, but I didn't really know much about it. About 10 to 15 years later, I get a connection request from a guy that I worked with a lot as a student. I was like, oh, I remember this guy. That's pretty awesome. And he found me because I had my education listed on LinkedIn. So if I worked for a company 25 years ago, just out of high school, actually for me that would be about 30 years ago, and I wanted to reconnect with people, putting that on there makes it so that there are suggestions and say, hey, this person also worked here about the time that you worked. You might know them. So it gives you an opportunity to reconnect with people from your past. And that's why, and probably more than 90% of the people that are looking at your profile aren't looking to hire you. They're just looking to connect. They did a search and they're like, okay, this might be a good person to look for. If you are in the job search arena, that percentage probably goes up a little bit for temporarily because people are going to look at your profile for that. But usually they don't do that until after you've had an interview. Not always, but I would say if I were a hiring manager, I wouldn't bother doing that internet search until I've interviewed somebody. Because if I had 20 applicants and I had to narrow it down to 3, I'm not doing internet search for 20 applicants. I'm gonna find the resumes that look the best, interview the 5 that I want, and then I might go Google them and look on their LinkedIn profile.
I would always ask, as part of the vetting process, we would ask them for their LinkedIn, and I would always compare their resume to LinkedIn to see if there were big differences.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's definitely something to include, and you know, and yes, I might leave out some employers on my resume because to me they're not applicable to the job. And we teach people to make your resume fit the job description. But that might help fill in the gaps. Oh, he worked for this company for a while doing something completely different. That's probably why he didn't include it on his resume.
Yeah.
So, things like that. So again, making sure that you're not just saying what you did in each job, but how well you did it. Accomplishments, numbers, all of that speaks volumes. So I think that's really important. Your education, obviously include all of that. Again, if you didn't graduate from a college or whatever, you went to a university for 2.5 years, include that, because you might connect with somebody, with a professor, with your classmates or whatever. It just makes it so that it's easier for you to be found.
Yeah. Did you see, Sarah, on the experience, once you add the company, it becomes clickable? Can you show her that?
Oh yeah.
Like each one of those companies that I've added,
Uh-huh.
you can click into the company.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's where
Oh.
you would put company posts. So you'd still have your personal, and then you can set this up to where you can have admin and your company can post. So you'll see here, I post on My Nice Tie a lot more than I post on my personal.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, so there was one 13 hours ago, and then 1 day ago. So you're posting that brand out there, and just a little bit of advice there, and we talked about your personal profile and not posting very much. Posting through your personal profile also, it adds the face. It adds the personal touch. Where if I'm just following your company, that's great and all, but I don't always see the personal side, because you as a person, you might share something that says, okay, here's something about my company, but then you might say, oh, I went to a class today and learned how to be a better dad. And that creates that personal touch that I think people like to connect with when it comes to business.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
yeah, thank you for pointing that out. And for the entrepreneurs, again, if you have a business, you're creating that business to make that link, to make it, and you're getting your followers to follow that page as well as your personal page. All right, projects. So you can. So this is a section that you can add in. Let me go to mine because it may or may not let me do it on yours. When you scroll down, when you're on your profile page and you scroll down, this little thing pops up, add a profile section. So there are several sections that don't come by default, that you can add different sections. So in academia, you might have publications. You do research projects and you write publications. So you're going to want to include a publications section on your profile. If you're a writer, that you would use that as well. So there's a lot of different sections you can add, so this projects is probably one that you've added because there are certain things that you've done that you want to highlight as a professional accomplishment. Volunteering is another one. So if there's volunteer activities, you can include those. So skills. In the past, skills were a pretty big deal on LinkedIn. Now, to me, they're really more of an SEO thing. So you're including those skills. In the past, it was a big deal for people to go in and endorse you for your skills. Click these things. The problem, and I think the reason it's probably not as big of a thing, is because people just, I know people that would connect with somebody and they would go in and endorse you for every skill, whether they knew
it was
you were
true or
good
not.
They would just go in and endorse. And so it lost its value over time, because people were just, especially if they wanted to sell you something, they would go in and endorse, and they would sell you send the pitch slap. And say, oh, you know, hoping that because you endorse them, that was I scratch your back and then you get to scratch my back because I endorsed you for a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
So you'll see that. So like you've been endorsed 6 times for JavaScript, web development, 13 endorsements. I think it's probably still valuable to have people endorse you. But again, it's more of a search engine optimization. Do you have that skill listed on your profile? So make sure that you go through, find all the skills that you can possibly find that are related to what you do, and put those on your profile. Okay, one of the big values is recommendations, and I think it's underutilized a lot on LinkedIn, getting recommendations. I haven't requested a recommendation from somebody for a long time. As I'm starting my new business, that's something that I'm going to ask for. When I coach somebody, when I have an opportunity to teach somebody something, I'm going to say, would you be willing to go in and write a recommendation for me? If you can, coach them on what you want them to say, because sometimes people don't know how to express things well, or they have bad grammar or whatever. Feel free to say, oh, can you edit this? And you know, if they write it and you see it and you're like, oh, I think you have the ability to approve it. I think it's like I said, it's been a while since I actually went out and requested one or got one. But I think it says, hey, somebody wrote you this recommendation, you want to post it on your profile. So if it's terrible grammar or whatever, and you feel like they're probably not technical, they're not good writers enough to fix it themselves, feel free to copy, make your own edits, send it back to them and say, you know, there were some grammatical things and I was hoping that maybe you could use this as the recommendation. And just that way you get a little better recommendation geared towards what you do and what you would like to see on there.
That wouldn't be offensive.
What's that?
To someone who give you a recommendation, that wouldn't be offensive to be like, can you kind of fix your grammar here?
Yeah, that's probably definitely something to approach in a soft way, not necessarily say, man, you have terrible grammar, could you fix that? They may just say, never mind.
Could just say, would you mind if we posted this, these alterations? Or this new, I've altered it slightly, would you mind if we posted it that way?
Yeah, and blame your branding. So make sure that you adjust it and add maybe some branding terms or something like that, and just say, you know, I took the liberty to make some suggestions that I think would help with my branding. Would you be willing to edit this recommendation and use this
Alternative.
this alternative version?
Okay.
I think that's a good way to do that. Let's see.
Do you do Russian videos in my necktie, since you speak fluently?
Okay, so all these other sections are mostly just things you can add. So yeah, these are all things you can add based on your experience and stuff like that. So again, that's going to be in that add profile section. So again, just always keep in mind, what's your personal brand? Who do you want to portray to be? What accomplishments have you had? And make sure that throughout your profile, you're including those search engine optimization, keywords, phrases. If somebody were to search for what you do, what are the words they would use in the search bar to find you? So just think of that. What are the terms that people would use to find your services? All right, so let's talk a little bit more about the posting. So when you go into your posts, so posting on a regular basis is important for any algorithm out there. Especially where if you post personally and mention your company, you can tag your company. But again, you don't want to post. LinkedIn is probably it's a little better to post your company posts as well more often. If I'm on Facebook, people want to see that personal side as well. You're connected with family, you're connected with friends. You don't want them to feel solicited to every single post on your Facebook. Occasionally, once or twice a week, you want to post something about tying your tie. I was tying my tie this week and I thought of this new really cool way to do it, or something like that, so people know. I have friends from high school that have reached out to me before and said, hey, I just lost my job, can you help me? And they know that because I'm always posting stuff like that on Facebook. That's not everything that I post. I post my family stuff, I post my personal things, I post stuff about CrossFit, I post stuff about rock hounding and hobbies and different things like that. So there's a well-rounded picture, but I will share things about job search frequently. Interacting with other people. So as other people that you're connected with post stuff, make sure that you're interacting with them, especially if it's somebody that you find a potential client and you've connected with them and you want to eventually bring up the conversation of your services and products. Interacting with them, commenting on their posts, different things like that. I think it builds that relationship. And so when that conversation does feel appropriate, it doesn't feel like you're just hitting them with some sales pitch. So just connecting, interacting, different things like that. If I do send a connection request and it is somebody that I want to build that relationship with eventually or something like that, I will use one of my 5 connections and always put it in the connection request. Be transparent. I'm a career coach. I notice that you have open to work on your profile. I'd love to have a conversation with you. Right up front, they're seeing a connection request that explains exactly what's happening. Don't just say, hey, I noticed we have similar connections. And then as soon as they connect with you, you're trying to pitch them on a $500 program that they may or may not be able to afford. So if you do pitch a little bit in that very first connection, do it in the connection request. Use those 5 for that. You can reshare other people's posts. That's always a good way to interact with people.
What's the difference between followers and connections?
Okay, so followers are people that have seen my stuff So when somebody tries to connect with me, I have enough connections, but I think LinkedIn's like, okay, you need to slow down a little bit. They try to limit how many connections you have because of spammers and stuff like that. So most of the time when people go to my profile, that connect button is usually like right somewhere here. Mine doesn't show that, it says follow. I would have to click, so.
Because you got to a certain number and now it's like,
Well, I've already connected with Ben, so it probably won't. Well, see, it says pending. So it used to say connect,
okay.
but mine would say follow right there on that. So I would just click on more, and then there's a send connection request there.
Okay.
And then you can, so I'm actually gonna find a new person here. Are you on LinkedIn? Yeah. Okay.
Go to Michelle Osmond Erickson.
Okay. Okay. So she is a second level connection to me. And I can see, you know, other people here at Snow College are connected with her. So I can either click connect. I can try to message. So if I click message, I have to have the upgraded version of LinkedIn. And one of the biggest questions people always ask is it worth upgrading to the paid version of LinkedIn? And I would say if your company pays for it, it might be worth it. If you need to send in mail, which is a direct message to somebody, if you have a reason to do that you're not connected to, you might find it beneficial. And I think, I'm pretty sure you probably get more than 5 personalized connection requests if you pay for the upgrade.
The premium.
So now they've made that one more little carrot to pay them, is to add that. It drives me crazy they did it, but oh well. So if I click connect, so just one thing, if you click connect on your phone, usually it will just send a generic connection request. So you're going to want to click, there's like a, I don't know if it's more or the 3 dots or whatever, you want to click that and say personalized connection request on your phone. But when you're on a computer, usually if you click connect, it will ask you, you want to personalize this. So this is where you would click add note, and
Okay.
I would say Ben said to connect with you. I'll go ahead and use one of my things here.
You should have written like some kind of ransom though. If you ever want to see Ben Berry again.
I am teaching
LinkedIn entrepreneur, Sanford entrepreneurs class.
Yeah, she must have gotten busy because she didn't answer my text messages.
Okay. So I just sent a personalized request. So now she's not going to look at this request
And be like, who is this?
Now,
Spam.
I probably could have gotten away with sending her a generic one because I know Lisa Laird, she knows Lisa, I know Tim Chamberlain, she knows Tim. There are 3 other mutual connections. So Ben, Stacy, and Christine Hanks. So all of those people we're all connected with. She's probably gonna look at it and say, oh, Trenton.
They know him.
business
He
with
must be good.
Yeah, with these folks. So she probably would have connected anyway. But doing that personalized thing it helps. And like I said, you only get 5 now per month, which is really dumb. Go back to my page here. All right, so are there any questions that you have?
No, it's good, some good ideas.
Okay. So using the power of LinkedIn, so I'll just kind of summarize with and wrap up with this. LinkedIn is powerful. There used to be a thing where you could actually check the statistics of how many connections, who are in your first, second, and third level connections. I wish they still had that. That was just cool to watch. Because I think back when they were doing that, I probably had 2,000 or 1,000 or something like that connections. And that made it so that I had access to like millions of people. Just that first, second, and third level connection. So first level is your connections, your people you're friends with. Their connections are your second, and their connections are your third. So being able to just reach out to almost anybody in the world, any industry, any company. As a job seeker, if I'm applying for a company, I'm going to go find that company on LinkedIn. I'm going to scroll through the connection requests, and I'm going to use one of my 5 to reach out to the potential hiring manager. If I don't know who that hiring manager is, I'm going to reach out to somebody and I'm going to say, hey, I'm interested in learning more about your company. I may or may not say I've applied for a job, just because sometimes they're like, well, you need to go through the proper channels. So I might just say, hey, I'm interested in learning more about your company. Would you be willing to answer, connect so that we can facilitate a conversation? So that's the thing. You had a question or comment?
Yeah, I'm just wondering, so have you seen this by involving a business with LinkedIn? Have you seen that actually really, like, how do I say this, like really benefit a business and help a business grow? Like, do you find a benefit from using LinkedIn? Because like I've kind of like seen it seems like it's not as popular as it used to be, so to me, but it's just because I haven't gotten involved with it.
Well, I think like the conversation we had last week about content, social media can amplify. So hopefully you're writing some form of content, whether it's blog articles or something else, and then you're leveraging LinkedIn to amplify that.
Okay.
So I don't know that any one social media platform has been
More beneficial.
But then what happens is, after you've done that for a really long time, then you start to see, oh well, yeah, LinkedIn is my most powerful platform. For me, it was YouTube. Like, YouTube became the most powerful platform. But I'm producing YouTube content anyways, so why not post it on LinkedIn?
Yeah. So, and for most businesses, and each social media platform is going to be different. If you are a crafty person, you got to have Pinterest and Instagram. Those are 2 necessaries if you're creating some kind of a craft. If you're not using those, you're probably not getting. You're not sharing the visual aspect of your business. I think that's really important. Facebook has really kind of become, if you're marketing to older adults, that's probably where you're going to go. You're probably not as into Facebook as a lot of people.
Probably been on it or any social media.
I was saying, is there any social media that's more? I mean, is TikTok more your
We
thing?
don't let them have social media.
Good for you. That's good.
But for most kids, yeah, Instagram is still pretty popular. Instagram has somehow kept its reach for multi-generations. So my kids they do stuff on Instagram all the time. TikTok is a big one. TikTok for you would possibly be, you know, I want to take some clips of my YouTube and now expand into another market. So TikTok could be super valuable for what you do.
Yeah, hasn't been yet, but
Yeah,
we'll see.
yeah, and it might take time, it might not work.
But your
you,
audience is more mature than the TikTok audience, though, don't you think?
Yeah,
TikTok
I think,
is
like,
growing up.
well, TikTok is interesting because you'll get views, but then they like drop off.
Mm.
So you'll get these huge spikes, and then the next thing will get nothing.
Mm.
So, yeah, I haven't, and I'm new on TikTok, so I don't know. It's one of those things where you just start posting and you see if it becomes valuable. And I'm already posting the same content on Instagram, so it.
Yeah, and the algorithms are going to be different. So TikTok, so I have a hard time watching Instagram Reels and Facebook Reels and stuff like that because all of the trends that happen on TikTok don't happen on those two until later. So if you're tapping into the trends, TikTok is the place to go. If you're not tapping into the trends and you're trying to hit maybe your target market is the older folks, Reels is probably better for you than TikTok. Just because TikTok is the happening one.
Mm.
I start a trend and everybody's like, oh, that was hilarious, I'm gonna do that exact same video, and they start copying you. It becomes a trend. Those trends don't hit Facebook and Instagram for a while after.
Hmm.
So there's different things, so different social media is different. Now, for LinkedIn, so I recently, a few months back, met a guy that works for BYU, and he kind of works what he does is he gets donations from people to support BYU, so their athletics and all that stuff. And so his goal is to get people to fork over money to BYU. And so he says, I am on LinkedIn every single day looking for alumni of BYU who have made millions of dollars. Those BYU alum who are millionaires, who have a business and they're like killing it, I reach out to them, I'll send them a personal connection request and say, hey, I'm from BYU, this is what I do, would you like to give back to your alma mater? And he has raised probably millions and millions upon millions of dollars through LinkedIn. So for him, that is a niche that he can tap into really easily in LinkedIn. Because he's got these professionals that are business owners that are making a lot of money. It's perfect for him to go
That's
out
cool.
and find those people. So in a lot of different ways that you can.
So you could get capital for your business, maybe, too,
Yeah.
like by doing that.
Yeah, if you know how to pitch it, and you know the right audience of potential investors, there's probably a lot of different ways. And so it's networking. The power of LinkedIn is networking. And I think in the advertisement, we said not just a billboard. You're not just a billboard.
Yeah.
So creating a resume that you're sticking on here and that's all you use it for, you're gonna get as much results as if you're just passing resumes out to employers without changing it, without targeting it. Your LinkedIn is as powerful as you make it. And as you start connecting with people in your industry, mentors, coaches, businesses that might do business with you, vendors that you might need to buy from, those are just, there's so many ways that you can reach out and be connected with people all over the world, and especially in the industry.
Awesome.
Super powerful tool.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks so much for your time.